Hey everybody, thanks for joining me. My name's David and this is my channel. Today's video, the only thing that is attacking you is your insistence that your life should be different than it is. So notice the two sides here, that the attack is coming from the insistence that things should be different. Now I finally learning this, is that the culprit of all the problems in my life is my insistence that somehow my journey thus far should be different than it is, or even this moment should be different than right now. Now we start this by talking about the relationship, because everything is about balance. It's just like Tai Chi, it's balance. Now I want to offer a new interpretation of balance, but first let's talk about the two parts. We have a lower self, inner child, this excited part of us, our soul, that wants to be in this body, wants to be in this world, wants to have this adventure. And we have the body mind. That is, all three of those are kind of the same thing. They're all kind of put together. Now, the other side of this, we have our inner being, our higher self, our God self, divine self, our soul. Now, this part here is connected to all that is. So this is really important. That part of us, our soul, is connected to all of creation. So that means that mind, because we are more of a mind than anything else, one mind, many bodies, the mind of God, right? The mind of Christ. That mind is in connection with all of creation. Yeshua talks about in the way of mastery, to create is to communicate. So that means that part of us is communicating with all that is. Now I've had glimpses of this, and perhaps you guys have as well, where I've communicated in a much, much bigger, broader way with all that has been around me. And I can tell you from experience that it's unbelievable when you can connect into that bigger mind, that mind of God, where you can start understanding that we are all connected through our mind, not our body. So that part has all perspectives, and that's what you have to remember. If you look at your past, it knows your past from a totally different position than you do from that limited lower self. Because this part here, that limited lower self, only knows it from one perspective. Therefore, it feels separated. You don't know your past from everybody that was involved, do you? I know. You see, we don't know what's going on right now from every perspective of creation. We only know it from one tiny little perspective. Now, that's important to understand, because without that broader perspective, you're the driver moving around the racetrack and not having any clue of anything outside of the car, what place you're in. You're just in this tiny little place looking out the windshield, and you have no clue about anything. So we need a broader perspective. And this is the most important thing, because once we get that, we realize this is the only relationship that matters. The only relationship that matters. Now, if I can convince you that the balance is off between these two, and when the balance is off, simply because this smaller perspective believes it has the bigger picture, you have to ask yourself, how much do you know about the people in your life? How much do you know about your body? How much do you know about your business? How much do you know about your life? All based on the past, based on one tiny perspective. And this is the humility that Jesus talked about. You have to sit at the bottom of the table. You have to recognize you are not seeing it correctly. You have to be like a little child and give it to your Father. You have so many instances in the Bible where it says, go and give everything to God. Because we only have one tiny little perspective, and it's just not enough. There's too many things going on in your life as one synchronicity that are all flowing together. But when we see it only as one tiny little perspective, and we believe we have the whole picture, we cause a lot of insistence. Now, why? Because the insistence is what we put in the middle of that perspective, so to speak, in order to fill it in from our body mind to figure out why all of this is happening to us. Well, this is happening because of this, and this body is hurting because of this, and this isn't working for me because of this. And we create this belief structure that is, for lack of a better word, as Yeshua would put in the Course in Miracles, it's insane because it's based on what he would call magic. In other words, it has no basis on it because it's not coming from our broader perspective. It's coming from fillers that our mind is putting in. Because it's coming from those fillers, it creates mind activity to keep it going. And on the other side of that, or rather from that, it creates justification. You're justifying every time you speak, and you're defending your opinions. Do you see what I'm saying? And we're arguing, and we're fussing, and we're fighting, and so forth and so on. One perspective against another, against another, against another, against another. When in reality, this lower self that's fighting all these different perspectives of everything, from the broader perspective, they're all coming together under one roof, having a party. Can you see? That's going to cause some distortion, isn't it? Because this one is using every perspective in your life in a perfect way, communicating it in a perfect way, seeing it only as good, only as holy, only as beautiful, only as something successful for your life, flowing things to you. Do you see? And we're taking our smaller perspective and pushing against other perspectives. Simply because I know. This creates what we call a filling up. And this is what we can't see. We're asking for what we want on one side, but we have insistence on the other side. And that's why it can't come in. So that's imbalance. So let's talk about this different interpretation of balance. See, we think in terms of balance that it needs to be kind of like the same size or the same importance or the same something. But the interpretation of balance when it comes to the universe, believe it or not, has nothing to do with size or nothing to do with how big or small. So, for example, in Tai Chi, one side is very full, but the other side is very empty. In order for the full side to fill up the other side, but they are equal. So even though one is completely empty, nothing, and the other one is full, it has to fill it up from an empty position. And this is the most important thing. So that's what's happening here. Our lower self, our smaller perspective is very full of past, of knowing, of ideas, of life lived, of let me tell you about me and let me tell you about them. It's very full of insistences. And all those insistences, as Bashar would say, insistence always creates resistance. And resistance towards what? Resistance towards your higher self. These two are supposed to come together, like on a frequency, just like tuning your radio dial to a higher satellite, so to speak. Now, that satellite's much bigger, holds more information than that little radio, but they have to be equal in order to receive each other. And a long time ago, when we took God and made it outside of us in a big way, it made us small. And we no longer had that equality with our source. But the more we understand that we are equal with that, what we call God, which is ourself, that bigger, higher perspective. And the more we understand that we came here to empty ourselves in order to receive it, then we can redefine equality as empty and full. That which is bigger, giving to that which is smaller. And the more we let go of the insistence of everything we think from one tiny perspective, and we say, I am seeing this incorrectly. I must be able to see this in a new way. The only reason I even think this is bad or negative in any way is because I can't see the full picture. I can only see a tiny little part. Then we will empty that insistence. I know nothing. And then, like the Bible says, give it all to God, move in the direction of the Holy Spirit, which holds everything, including your clarity. And then now that which is smaller and that which is bigger, it can fill up. Like Tai Chi, I have to learn to release this. That's probably took the longest time for anyone in Tai Chi. It's the releasing of what's already full. It's hard for us to get these together because they're so full of themselves. And as we learn to release that lower self, I know nothing. All the time, every time I feel negative emotion, I'm seeing this incorrectly. I know nothing. I'm seeing this incorrectly. I'm full of insistence. What is it that I want here? Because I'm looking at what I don't want. And it's full of insistence. You see, and we know that feeling of negative emotion when you're walking around and things don't seem to be working and you're pushing against something and you feel kind of on edge or anxious. You see, and that is insistence. That means your mind is full of what should be, what should be coming in, what shouldn't be coming in. Do you see? And the more you recognize that, wow, where's all this insistence, this ideas, all this that I know coming from? Well, it's coming from the past. It's coming from those fillers that your body mind is trying to come, is taking from the past to try to fill in. It doesn't know. It doesn't understand. It's doing it incorrectly. As Yeshua would say, it's insane. It's seeing everything as many different perspectives instead of one perspective. Do you see? They cannot agree with each other. And the more we understand that, that's what an attack is. It's coming from many different enemies. You ever feel that? Boom, first is the body, and now this ain't working out, and now this is happening, and oh my God, now this, and I can't believe this. You see? It's like the movie. You know, you watch a movie, you have all these different enemies, but in reality, the movie somehow will come together to create one idea of what it should be. You see? This is a dream. It's your dream. Every single person is playing a part in your specific dream. It's one perspective, which is yours. And the more we let go of all those many different perspectives, and we say, I'm going to find something positive in this because I can't get there from insistence. I could feel the negative emotion. I could feel the resistance. And I believe it's them. And now I know it's not. I'm seeing this from a very small perspective. I'm seeing it incorrectly. And I'm too full to receive the truth. Remember, whatever you believe shouldn't be in your life, your source at that very same moment, which is the reason why you're feeling the resistance and the negative emotion, is trying to tell you why it should be there. Isn't that interesting? No matter what it is, you didn't get that deal, source is trying to tell you why you didn't. The body hurts, source is trying to tell you why it hurts. And the more you get that, it's trying to give you the information, the clarity, because it knows it should be there. Everything should be there. There's no reaction. We create the reaction based on insistence. Remember, everything is perfect. All we have to do is recognize everything is perfect regardless. And the way we empty in that moment, this is the secret, is by saying, I'm seeing this incorrectly. That's what forgiveness is. I'm seeing it incorrectly. I'm no longer going to blame outside of me or whatever the situation, body, circumstance, whatever it is. And I'm going to find something positive in this. And that your energy will shift. I'm going to find something positive. I'm no longer going to congest myself because I can't get there from there. I need to move the other way. I need to switch my energy into a positive place. Take a couple deep breaths. I'm seeing this incorrectly. I believe this to be bad, and there is no bad. Everything is as it is. I'm no longer going to believe that person is that way. I'm no longer going to believe this is that way, or that is that way, or that is that way. I'm going to say this is as it is, and I'm going to, right now, find the positive. How can I find something positive in this moment right now? And then immediately you'll empty the insistence on the other side. You'll feel the resistance release because the insistence is now gone, and you will see what I'm saying. Woo, as soon as I stop saying that person should be this way, why do I feel better? As soon as I stop looking at my money and worrying about it, I just feel better. And you're going to see the insistence is what's attacking you. And that's it. Everything has a purpose. This world is perfect. Everything has a purpose. And if you don't know that purpose, that's okay. If you let go of the insistence and you ask your source, it will tell you why it's happening. And guys, that's how you get rid of everything. If you have problems in your body, you get rid of it by realizing why it's there. And then finding the clarity and sharing it with everybody. That's how we do it. We recognize it should be there. We move into a positive place in order to receive the clarity of why it is there. And then we share it. We let go of it. We let go of it. And when we move it back into the light, that's how you shine light upon it. And as we empty more and more and more, then what is bigger can fill us up, just like Tai Chi. Empty, full, equal. And that's the relationship between the yin and the yang, or the source and your inner child, or God and the Son. I hope this helps. Thank you so much for allowing me to share this. As always, it is up to you what you receive. I have so much love for all of you. Keep the comments coming. I love hearing them. Hit the like button if you're enjoying it, and subscribe. And as always, my unconditional love and appreciation.